As you can see here, we do have some empty spots in here because we had a big week of shipping this week. We were able to ship out Monday because the temperatures everywhere kind of flattened out in a nice average location, like 40, 50 degrees. So we shipped out 20 more snakes. We have quite a few more to go, maybe 5 or 6 that have been sold that we need to ship out either next week or the following week once it warms up a little more. But I did start pairing this pair of snakes for the first time, so I wanted to show you guys that because this is one of my more awesome pairings that I have going on right now. So these are both snakes I produced, but this is a black-head leopard Mojave hypo-pied het black axanthic male, the one with the purpley head right there. And he's being bred to a black-head leopard Mojave pied het hypo pos het black axanthic. So yes, we could make super Mojaves, which would kind of stink because it would just make blue-eyed Lucy's visibly. I'd have to shed test the snake to see what it has, but at the very least, everything's pied het hypo. Half the babies should be hypopied, and there's a good chance, hopefully, that they're triple recessives. But the most important thing here is they both have black-head leopard Mojave, and it gives me the chance to make a really, really neat set of snakes. So some potential for some really nice hypopieds in there. I can get those at least, and there is some potential for hitting triple visuals. So then we also have these females, which are all grown up nicely, and these are the ones that I did shed test recently for hypo and pied. So let me show you all those. So this is that project. This is the project that I'm kind of sticking into the most here. Let's see. So we have, this is a black leopard Mojave black axanthic het pied. It tested negative for het hypo, but that's okay. We can still make some nice black axanthics and black axanthic pieds. This female, I did not. She's just pooped apparently inside of her hide. She is a black-head leopard Mojave pied. She tested negative for het hypo. I have not tested her for black axanthic, but she'll make some neat pieds. I gotta clean that poop up. This is a leopard black axanthic. Het hypo tested negative for het pied, but that's okay because what this will do is this can make me some really cool blackhead Mojave super leopard black axanthic hypos with that male that I showed you earlier. So, I can't make super Mojaves there, which is perfect. So that gives me some really cool snakes to make. And this actually ends up being the one I'm most excited about, even though it's not super crazy. This, I believe, is just a blackhead, black axanthic, but she tested positive double het hypopied. So I can make super blackhead leopard Mojave black axanthics and also make hypopieds. So I have the potential to make super blackhead black axanthic hypopieds plus leopard and Mojave. So that setup there is going to be very, very important. I'm really excited for that pairing. Those females, I have like 6 females that I've produced in the last 2 years that he's breeding to, plus some clown pied het hypo stuff. It's for sale, but I will probably stop as their follicles are growing because he has had locks to them. If their follicles get to a bigger point, 2025, I'll probably end up taking them off morph market until I see if they're going to lay or not, and then I'll put them back on because they're not technically in the project. If I can work clown into it, that's great. If I can't, it's not a big deal to me. But those 6 females in the black axanthic hypopied project are kind of the main focus of what I'm doing. So those pairings are really, really cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. Let's talk about. Before I forget, I did list a couple really nice snakes that this girl, her follicles weren't. They were like 10, 15. And I decided to let her go. She's a super OD black pastel lesser clown. She's really pretty. 2,000 grams, ready to go. Did have a couple locks to this male that I actually listed too, since I'm kind of done with just clowns. So she's for sale. He is also for sale now too. He's a black pastel red striped cypress leopard possible redhead clown adult has been locking up to a bunch of females. He is one of the nicer clowns that I've ever seen. I got him from JP Reptiles Canada about a year and a half ago. I have a clown pied I've been breeding him to that looks like she is going to be going here pretty soon. So he's a really cool snake that somebody could really use in a really cool clown project. And I also ended up listing this clown pied male. So this is Wolverine. This is the Super OD YB Fire clown pied male. He has had quite a few clutches for me. Let me get his head out here so you can see him. He's a good boy. He's a little shy boy. I paid like $9,000 for him when I bought him like 2 years ago. Like he was like I bought him from Reptiles for Centuries out of South Africa, like a one-of-a-kind snake when he popped out. And he's had quite a few clutches for me. He's been a great breeder, but he is, on the chopping block. So he has been listed too. So I'm still waiting on those MJ tests. Once those come back, I had 5 tests. I have to wait for them to come back. I have 4 females and a male. I'm definitely getting rid of the male. I just want to know if he's MJ or not before I sell him, because I don't need him. And the 4 females, they're all clown het pieds with a couple codoms. If they end up being negative for MJ, they're all going to be for sale because they're just clown het pieds and I don't need them in that project. If they are het MJ, then I will end up keeping them. But I want to talk a little bit about sort of, I've had tons of sales on Morph Market. I think they have those verified badges now. And I think it said I had over like 450 sales. So that's a lot of sales, right? Like I know what I'm doing. I've been around the block. Every once in a while, you still get a customer who's can be difficult. And kind of want to talk about how to deal with it. I'm kind of at the point where, understand customer service is important. But I also understand, when customers are just being difficult. And sometimes it's easier to just get rid of that customer before you sell them an animal, or just refund them before you sell them an animal. And this customer raised some red flags, I think, before I sold them the snake, but they weren't like big red flags. And then that customer decided to give me a 3-star review, and I'll tell you why. So he bought 2 snakes. They're in like the northeast of me, and we had the conversation. I'm very clear that I only ship to the FedEx hub. The only time that I'd ever consider shipping to home is in the warmer months, May, June, July, assuming it's not 95, 100 degrees outside. If the person isn't able to get to a hub, or the hub is like way too far away, like 2-3 hours away. So this person, they bought the snakes, they didn't read the store policy, and then they said, here's my address. And I said, well, what's your FedEx hub address? Oh, well, it's an hour away. I said, well, that's not that far to drive to have to go get a snake. I said, listen, you're, northeast of me. I probably can't ship to you until May, which I prefer not to do. That's 3-4 months from now, because your temperatures are going to have to be above 40, 50 degrees. Overnight, because it's going to be on the truck all day before it gets to you. The trucks are not temperature controlled. The FedEx hubs are. So, he read that message. I said, I don't offer a live arrival guarantee if it's being shipped to your home. Only if it's being shipped to the hub. I sent a nice email explaining why it should be shipped to the hub. The person read it, never responded. I sent another email a few days later. I said, so, have you decided what you wanted to do? And I don't remember exactly verbatim how it happened or how many emails were sent back and forth, but I know they didn't respond again. And then I sent another one, they said something else. Oh, they sent another email saying, you know what? I don't want that snake. I want a different snake. I said, that's okay. We can switch it. And they still didn't reply to the initial email regarding where we want to ship it to. So I said, we can change this. That's fine. But you never answered me about where we're shipping this to. And so then I said, this hub is, 30 minutes, 40 minutes away from you. Just pick it up there. I said, I can't guarantee that it's going to be, I will not give you a live arrival guarantee to your home. You need to pick it up from the hub if you want that. I said, do you want to waive the live arrival guarantee? And they said, the FedEx hub is fine. And they mentioned somewhere along the line that they're not used to getting animals shipped to them in the winter. And I said to them, well, that doesn't make a difference to me. Like, I don't, speaking off the cuff here in this video, I don't care if you've never had animals shipped to you in the winter before. That has no bearing on when we can ship. I've shipped literally every single month of the year. If the weather's nice enough, if it's warm enough, if the hubs aren't packed, if Redline Shipping and Ship Your Reptiles and Morph Market are all saying it's safe to ship, then I'm going to ship. I don't care if you haven't had animals shipped to you in the middle of the winter before. That has no bearing on whether or not we can ship. So, I didn't say that to that person. That's just my top of the mind comments. That's my internal commentary. That's what I'm thinking to myself. And that's sort of the line you need to toe as you're a business owner when you're dealing with customers is you can have the internal commentary, but you need to learn how to translate that into something customer facing that's a little more appropriate. And so basically I said to them, I said, look, I've never had a DOA. I've sold over 400 snakes on Morph Market. I have basically shipped every single one of those snakes. I don't sell locally. Everything I've ever sold or produced has been through shipping. I've never had a DOA. I'm not trying to ship you snakes and have them die because it's the wrong time to do it. I'm making sure that if I'm shipping, they're getting to you alive. So if it's safe to ship, we can ship. I don't care if you haven't had snakes shipped to you in February before. So this week comes, right? And then, I go through my whole list of everybody that needs snakes. And I sent them all emails saying Monday, this past Monday, it's safe to ship. Can you pick up tomorrow? Everybody says yes. I said, oh, perfect. So I spent 2 hours boxing up 20 snakes that night. Send them all. Everything arrives safely. Got it, thanks. Tons of people, good reviews, blah, 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 blah. This guy sends me an email saying, has this snake ever eaten? Or is he eating? He's only 85 grams. You have him listed as 100 grams. And then he said something along the lines of, we're just not used to getting snakes shipped to us in winter like this. Just like real critical. I don't know how else to explain it. I could tell that he was following up from his email initially saying they don't like having snakes shipped to them in winter, which, again, as I just explained, has nothing to do with anything. And so I was going to respond one way and I didn't. What I use is my customer facing I don't know if you ever guys have watched Key and Peele where they have Obama's anger translator, where they have the one guy who's Obama and he says the nice things, and which is Peele, and Key is his anger translator, and he translates it into what Obama's trying to say, which is angry. So I use Chat GPT to do that. So I have like my inside voice up here, and I write that into Chat GPT, and I say this friendly to a customer. So that's actually, if you guys need help with that, that's a good way to do it. And I write back an email saying, a 15 gram difference and an empty snake isn't a big deal. It's literally one meal. I don't like to send animals full, meaning they have a meal in their belly. I like to make sure that they've pooped and they're empty, so that, there's no issues in shipping. Most people try to do this, and that there's no doo-doo because sometimes it does happen where they poop in the bag when they're being shipped and it makes a mess. So I try to ship them empty, and I said, a 15 gram difference is literally one meal. Like, that's one meal. It's like one mouse. It's not a big deal. And I said, secondly, it doesn't matter that we shipped in the winter. Morph Market said it was safe. Redline said it was safe. I literally check every single shipping company's alerts to make sure it's safe. And I make sure that the temperatures are okay, to make sure that if something does get stuck somewhere, it's not too cold there. So then he followed up, sent a picture of the two snakes, and then, I said, thanks, I'm glad they got there safely. I said, watch out for the girl because she's kind of bitey. And then I said, I'm glad they got there safely. Thanks again for your business. The end. No, I didn't say anything rude on my end because I knew that he was just kind of looking for a problem, and I wasn't going to give it to him. So then he left me a 3-star review. So he left me 2 reviews because he bought 2 snakes. The male, he left a 3-star review complaining about the 15-gram difference and complaining about shipping in winter. But then he left a 5-star review for the female and didn't mention the shipping. Like, he didn't have a complaint about the shipping. So I was confused about that. Why would he complain about it while not the other? So I replied on that, and this is all public, so you can go read it if you want to, saying like, look, I'm sorry about the 15-gram weight difference, but you need to kind of allow for some weight discrepancy because they're not going to ship. Sometimes they're going to be heavier, sometimes they're going to be a little lighter. It's not like I sent you a 50-gram snake or a 30-gram snake. And then this is the Chat GPT part. And I said, it was safe to ship, so I shipped. I've never had a DOA ever. Get over it, right? Basically. Like, that's just because I'm assuming from the looks of it, this is one of an older breeder. This is one of those things where, like, I feel like he was just looking for a fight, looking for an argument, because I didn't do things the way he wanted to do it. He was just looking for a reason to complain. And those are the sorts of customers that you really don't want to have, because they're going to look for any reason possible to give you a hard time or to leave you a bad review, which is worse. If you would have left a negative review, I probably would have sent out a message to Morph Market showing the context of what everything that was happening was and kind of raise a complaint. But I didn't, because I 3-star. I was like, I don't care. It's 3 stars. Doesn't make a difference. I have 230 reviews and they're all positive, except for this one guy who had to complain about stupid stuff. But I did leave a bad review for him. I left him a neutral review in terms of the star rating, but I left him a pretty scathing review from the seller in terms of what his etiquette was in terms of dealing with the transaction. So, there is some recourse on the seller's end to also, if you want to write a review like that's really kind of undue or unrealistic, I can also leave a review back saying what I feel about how your interaction was, and that's what I did. I just basically said, this guy was complaining about a 15-gram weight difference. He was being difficult about shipping in winter when it was just safe to do so. And he was difficult in terms of responding to my emails regarding shipping dates. It's if you see red flags, I know in this market, and I say this all the time, there's always going to be another buyer. In this sort of market, it's hard because there's a lot of snakes and you're happy just to get a sale. And in 95 times out of 100, your buyer is an okay buyer. 95% of the time, you're not going to have an issue with your buyers, but sometimes there are issues. And I have there was somebody last year who and I don't refund money, and I actually end up losing money because I didn't realize that there's like the credit card company still charged me a processing fee. So like if he paid me $1,000, I lost $100, $70 off the transaction with the return because I still got charged for the actual processing fees. Because I went to go ship him a snake, and he asked me the day I was shipping, is this the right, what sort of cage should I get? And I was like, dude, I'm shipping this tonight, and you don't have a cage ready for it? And I said, I can't ship this in good faith and without you actually having this set up. I said, so let's put off shipping until you have everything set up and you know that the temperatures and everything's okay. And he started freaking out about it. And I didn't even ask him. I just refunded the money and I canceled the transaction. Because I wasn't, at that point, if somebody was waiting to the last second, he obviously had no idea what he was doing and he wasn't going to care for the snake. I didn't want to have that customer. First of all, I didn't want him to kill the snake because he was being stupid. Second of all, I didn't want to have to deal with that customer because I knew he was going to be a headache to deal with. Because I guarantee you nothing was going to be set up right. I guarantee that snake probably wasn't going to eat for him, and he was going to be a complete freaking headache. So I got rid of him. With all these sales I've been doing, this has happened like in the last month. I have been telling people, you need to pay me friends and family or Venmo. If I'm giving you $500 off a snake, you're not paying with our credit card, and I'm not eating more credit card fees. You have to send friends and family. It says that at the top of every one of the descriptions of my listings. When somebody asks me I want to buy this, and I say, great, you can send the payment to my email using PayPal friends and family only. I had somebody send me a payment with the business. What's it called? Goods and services. And I said, look, I returned your payment minus the fee, because they charge you a fee on that too. So if it was $1,000, I only got $930 or whatever it is they charge in fees, 907, I don't remember. And I said, I returned your payment minus the fee, because I'm not eating the fee on this. Because again, when you pay with goods and services and PayPal, they eat a fee. So if he paid me $1,000 and I got $970, even if I return that $970 to him, there's that $30 is lost on either end. You can't recover it. So I said, look, I returned this payment to you. It specifically said PayPal friends and family only. He replied to me freaking out about it. He's like, I'm not absorbing your credit card fees and blah, 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 blah. I said, look, guy, it specifically says it. I said, I'm giving you a giant discount. I'm not absorbing these fees. How hard is it to follow these directions? So I actually blocked him and canceled it. I wasn't even talking to him anymore. He follows it up on Instagram. He says, yo, what the F are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Swear words that I can't say on here. So I blocked him on there too. And people raise red flags. If they can't read and follow their store policy, like the guy with shipping this week, if they can't read the descriptions and the payment instructions, like this guy with the PayPal payment, it's better off just cutting ties with them. And I've done it more times than I've liked, but it's definitely happened. And it's saved me probably a lot of headaches. There have also been people, now, I don't know if you can avoid this, but it's when you're selling the cheaper snakes, which is why I've gotten out of selling cheaper snakes. And that's why I really got rid of a lot of the stuff I have. The people that are buying as pets, or they've never bought snakes before, they require a lot of work. If I sell to somebody that has snakes and has bought snakes before, they are very easy to deal with. They really don't require a lot of follow-up work. Some of them I never talk to again until they want to buy something else, which in all honesty is your best customer. The customers that know what they're doing, know what they're buying, and don't require a lot of care are your best customers. They'll come back over and over and over again. And if they need something, you obviously give them support, but they don't require a lot. When you get into these people that have never had snakes before and haven't done the research and just want to go buy a pretty thing and want to spend $100 on it and don't know what they're doing, and freak out when they don't eat, when they try to feed them the day they get the snake, it causes a lot of work for you as a breeder, because you're basically indebted to them to answer all these follow-up questions. And when it took you 6 months to sell that $100 snake, you've already lost money on that snake. That snake, by the time you fed it for 6 months and had to ship it and whatever else you had to do, market it, whatever, you've already lost money on that snake. You would have been better off giving it away for free when it was born. And that's the issue with selling these lower end snakes. There's not a whole lot of margin for profit. So, and then you're stuck following up with tons and tons of emails with somebody who doesn't know how to take care of a snake. It makes it even worse. So that's why cutting got out of those entry-level pet only snakes, because those people don't know what they're doing and they just make a lot of work for you. But they're not bad customers, they're just harder customers to deal with. So there's that end of the spectrum too. But the people that are raising red flags for you, if you feel a red flag coming, just stay away. It makes your life a lot easier, and you don't have to get into these issues where then you're having a back and forth or arguments with people, because nobody wants that stress that you don't need. It's stress that I don't want. I breed snakes. I sell healthy snakes. When you have one person who has to argue about everything, or find reasons to be angry, whose issue is it? Is it mine or his? If I have 400 plus sales and I have 200 plus reviews and everybody's happy with the way I do it, and I have, you know, a following on YouTube and a following on Instagram, and I have a great Patreon group, all these people are happy with everything I do, and there's one person who just has to find issues with everything. Who's the problem, me or that guy, right? So you don't want customers like that. Assuming you're doing everything properly, you don't want to have customers like that because it just drags you down and it makes your life difficult. So as of right now, this video is very long, 26 minutes. So I hope you guys enjoy that rant and stayed for the whole thing. But these are the sorts of videos where, as I'm having these like real life experiences, as these things are happening in my business, I kind of like to share it with you guys because it's informational. And it kind of gives you a point of view that I don't think a lot of people really bring up a lot. To be frank, I don't think a lot of the people in the industry are very professional. There's a lot of people in it. Obviously, there's 37,000 snakes. And obviously, you know, the people like Justin, very professional. You know, Royal Constrictor Designs, very professional. The people that have booming businesses are very professional. They've been doing it forever. But I mean, I would say 90% of the people doing this, if not more, have been doing it for a year or two or 3 or 4 years and don't take it seriously and don't know how to act professionally either. So I feel like I do. I feel like I have been, and I think reviews show that and my sales show that. So when I see things like this pop up, I like to offer my perspective on it and how I would deal with it and how I feel about it in a little more candid manner than what I would say to the customer. And if, to be quite honest, I think if somebody were to end up, I think I've kind of gotten past the point in my business where I feel like if something does break down, the communication does break down, I don't feel like I need to say anything anymore. I just block the person and get over it, because you'll see, you know, as you get further into this, social media is basically terrible for that stuff. You'll have just as many people cause problems sometimes or make dumb comments as you would people saying positive comments, and you just have to block out the noise. And sometimes I just block the users. Like at this point on YouTube, if somebody writes something stupid like, "Oh, you're killing all those animals," or "Oh, you're what's wrong with the world," I just block them, because it's one of those people that just need the trolls. They can only say negative things to you. They can't find anything positive to say. And even if they do have a valid point, they can't say it constructively. They have to say it as mean as possible. And you're not getting your point across if you're just saying something as meanly as possible. Say it constructively and have a good conversation about it. But you need to learn how to kind of block those people out. And that's what, when you see those red flags with those potential customers or customers, I have to be very careful. I tell people on Patreon that. I said, like, just if you can, get rid of them or cancel a transaction or don't sell to them if you really feel worried about it. But I'll cut that video off here because it's kind of going long. And so this is going to be March 1st. In 2 weeks, I should have one of these clutches hatching. And hopefully have just about getting more eggs to drop. So we'll see. But we'll see you guys next week.